Hello friends, today we're going to talk about how to make money with lease options. How do you make money with lease options? Well, by the end of this video, you will have a thorough understanding of how to profit utilizing lease options. From structuring the deal to optimizing the terms for the best potential financial gain. I'm even going to share with you a strategy that will require little to no money out of your pocket without you even owning a piece of real estate utilizing this strategy. What makes lease options such a lucrative opportunity? Have you ever wondered how they can be structured to benefit both the buyer and the seller? Well, let's answer those questions in this video by first explaining how lease options work. Next, I'm going to explain why they're such a good tool in real estate for real estate investors. And finally, I'll share with you a handful of strategies that utilize lease options to make really good money. If you're ready to dive in, let's go. Now, in order to understand lease options, we need to understand what it is and the components that govern a lease option. Essentially, quickly put, a lease option gives you the power as a buyer to buy a home at a certain price at a certain date in the future. And opposite of that, the seller gives you the chance to sell a home at a certain price at a certain date in the future while that tenant lives there. It's a rent-to-own strategy. Now, there's a couple of important components of this. The first one is the option price. So if you're getting the option to buy this asset at a certain time in the future, you need to pay a price upfront to lock that in. And that's called the option price. And that's typically 2 to 7% of the purchase price. So if we're looking at a $300,000 home, 2% is $6,000, 7% is all the way up to $21,000. And it could be negotiated anywhere between that or above that or below that. But the option price is an important component of lease options. And one other thing to note, both if you're the buyer and the seller, if you do not execute as the buyer and you do not buy that home at the end of the lease term, that option price is foregone and the seller keeps that option price. So if you're the seller and you've got somebody in a rent-to-own situation and a lease option on a property and they plan to buy it from you 2 years down the road and they paid you $7,000 in order to buy it at that price down the road and they do not execute, you keep all of that money and there's no obligation to pay any of it back. Another component is the monthly lease payment. Now, what makes this different, because every rental agreement has a monthly payment that you're supposed to pay in order to live and rent the home that you're at. However, with a lease option, a certain amount of that monthly payment will be credited towards the down payment of the home. So if it's a 2-year lease, and let's say you're paying $2,000 a month and you negotiate $200 of that $2,000 can be counted towards your down payment. Over the term of the lease, if you've done $200 a month for 24 months, you're looking at $4,800 that will now be credited towards the down payment of your home. And the last few components is the term, whether it's a 12-month lease or a 36-month lease or anywhere in between, is part of the lease. And the last thing is obviously the purchase price. Whatever you negotiate to buy the home at a certain price, if somebody says, hey, today I'm selling my home for $300,000, you can negotiate a lower price or a higher price, but typically with the lease option, the seller is going to try and get a little bit more because they're allowing you to live there and they believe that the asset might appreciate. So instead of selling it to you today for $300,000, they might sell it for $315,000 2 years from now, but that's all negotiable within the lease option agreement. And here's the cool thing. On every component of a lease option, you as a real estate investor can make money on all of those. And I'll explain that here in just a minute. So why are lease options such a cool, innovative strategy for real estate investors? Well, it's a creative alternative to purchase or to sell a home for both buyer and seller. You know, for example, in today's economy, I've seen some home prices start to drop in certain cities. And I really believe that there's a lot of people sitting on the sideline that are waiting for interest rates to drop or home prices to go down a little bit more. But think about it. If you are a seller looking to sell a home or a real estate investor and you utilize this strategy, it takes a lot of that worry out of there. Where if somebody's sitting on the sideline with cash and they want to buy a home and you say, listen, I'll handle that fear of yours right now. You can go ahead and rent this home and you can buy it 2 years down the road at this price, while at the same time, part of your monthly payment is going to go towards your down payment, and you lock in the price of this home 2 years from now for an option price right now. That's a pretty good deal. It's a strategy that can be utilized no matter what the market is doing. And so as a buyer, that same scenario is there where you lock in the price to buy a home with the uncertainty of the market. So let's run through this really quick. For example, most of the time a buyer, if they're not quite ready to buy a home, maybe their finances aren't in order right now, or let's say they're a business owner and they're trying to get a loan, but they don't have enough financials or work history to show that. If you sit on the sidelines to just rent a home, you've got to start looking for a home to buy at a certain point down the road while you're renting a home, and that can be troublesome or can take a lot of time. But if the home that you want to buy buy and you know it right now and you put a lease option in place, you can actually live in the home and rent the home that you plan to own at a certain date down the road and execute that. So all your energy and focus can go into that home while you're renting it and execute on that at a certain date down the road. So what are a couple of strategies that I'm utilizing right now utilizing lease options? Well, one is a strategy that I call cash flow flipping. The model works like this. I'm looking for homes typically in the Midwest right now that I can get at a significant discount, right? I'm looking for homes that are below $100,000 and my sweet spot's kind of between that $40,000 to $70,000 range. But whatever they're listed at, I'm trying to find homes that have been listed for maybe a longer period of time and homes that are move-in ready. I don't want to have to do a ton of work on it. I don't mind putting a little lipstick on it, but overall, if I can find a home that's maybe listed at $70,000 and get it for $50,000, $55,000, that's what I'm looking for. So I'll put a lot of offers out there and not a lot of offers are going to get accepted, but when they do, I then go to a private money lender and I say, listen, I need this much money. Just for the math, let's make it easy. Let's say that I'm looking for $50,000 and he's willing to lend that money to me at 12%. What's the payment annually on a 12% interest? Well, it's $6,000 or $500 a month. So my payment to this individual, if it's an interest-only loan, which is what I'm looking for, I'm paying $500 a month and I've got a home. I've bought it outright. That's why I was able to get it at $50,000 when it was listed at $70,000. And then I turn around and I find somebody that wants to buy that home from me and I'm selling it to them at $70,000. But I'm selling it to them at $70,000 2 years down the road. And let's say, listen, this is a strategy for you who buying the home from me to be able to buy this home or rent to own this home for maybe cheaper than rent payment would be. So maybe it's $900 that I'm asking from them. And I'll count $100 of that $900 towards a down payment 2 years from now. So it's a great option for them. And they pay me an option up front to buy that home at $70,000. Let's say it's even $2,000. That locks them in at $70,000 2 years from now. They probably see that the home was originally listed at $70,000. So they have no problem maybe buying it at $70,000 and they've got a small option down. It's a good scenario for them. And so if I'm receiving $900 a month, but crediting $100 of that towards their down payment, that leaves me with $800. I'm paying $500 of that $800 every single month to the hard money lender. But when I close on this home 2 years from now, let's look through the scenario. I've made roughly, let's say with maintenance and expenses, I'm maybe making $100 a month, like not a ton of money, but 100 times 24 is $2,400 plus the price from me selling it at $70,000. I take that $70,000. There's some closing costs, but overall, let's say that I pay that $50,000 off. I'm left with roughly $20,000, call it $15,000 to $20,000 plus the money I made every month on rent. I've just came out of that scenario over $15,000 on this strategy. I'm making money every month and then every time I turn that home, and that lease could be 12 months or 24 months, but that's a strategy I'm doing right now. But that requires me to buy the home. A lot of people ask me like, well, what's a strategy where I can use little to no money? This strategy for you, it's called a sandwich lease option. And here's exactly how it works. Okay, so here's the sandwich lease option model. Let's say that I'm in the market, I'm gonna go find a home that I can lease option. And let's say I negotiate with that seller to me that the purchase price is $325,000. Now I've negotiated as well an option price to secure buying that home 2 years from now at $325,000 at only $3,000. And I've negotiated a monthly payment of $2,500 every single month for the next 2 years. And the term is 2 years as I talked about. Now I will go out to the market and I will find a buyer for this home. And let's say that I sell it to them for $350,000 with an option payment of $10,000 and the monthly payment I've bumped up to $2,700 on a 2-year term. So there is 3 ways you can profit from the sandwich lease option strategy and by not owning the property at all and very little to no money out of your pocket. Here's profit center number 1. It's the option price. I paid the seller $3,000 and I turned around and sold the option to buy the home for me at $10,000. So I'm looking at a $7,000 profit on just that upfront option money. Now, the monthly price that I'm paying is $2,500 a month, but I've turned around and rented it out for $2,700 a month. So that's a $200 a month profit. Over 24 months is $4,800. So profit center number 2 is the monthly payment of $4,800. And obviously the sales price. Now with the sales price, I have planned to buy it at $325,000 and I've turned around and sold it for $350,000. But you've got to consider the option price in this. So if I am at $325,000 minus out my option price, which brings it down to $322,000, or that's my down payment, and I've turned around and I sold it for $350,000, but their down payment's $10,000, then that's $340,000. So if I look at the difference between those two things, the money that I'll actually receive isn't $25,000, $300,000, but actually $18,000, right? Because 340 minus $322,000 leaves me $18,000 in profit on the purchase price. So that's profit center number 3 is $18,000. So your total out of all these 3 profit centers is $29,800, almost $30,000 on a strategy where you do not have to own any of the real estate or live there yourself and very little to no money out of your pocket. And being able to find there are actually companies and mortgage companies, local banks that will actually engage and do these types of strategies. You just got to find them, and even getting a good real estate attorney to draw something like this up. But this is a strategy I've used that I've seen work really well when it comes to lease options, and I'd be interested in your feedback. What have you seen? What do you do? Comment below. Let's engage in a dialogue. And just for stopping by and watching the video, I've got 100% no obligation free gift for you, aaron'sfreetraining.com. Click on the link. It is a short-term rental calculator where you put in the price of the home, the income, the expenses, and it will actually do all the work for you, spit out whether it's a good deal or not, and it's 100% free. And hey, I appreciate you stopping by. Have a great day.